Okay, in the last video we were looking at how to add and subtract polynomial expressions. Now in lab 4 we're going to be looking at how to multiply them. And again, this is something that you should have run across in high school. So this should be a review. This is part of what you will be using all the time in Math 100 or 110 or 140. And so the FOIL method, which the letters stand for first, outside, inside, last, is a way that we can multiply these two expressions together. It uses exponent rules and a combination of exponent rules and the distributive property. Again, things that you should, if you're not familiar with, you certainly should have met them before coming to this course. So this is your lab instruction sheet with all of the steps. I've even color-coded them for you. And then at the very end, you'll see in WebWork how you would type that answer in. And also on the previous lab, I might not have shown you how to type it in, but it's there in the lab instructions. So let's just look at the examples that we have here from our lab instructions. So all the steps are in that, available to you in Canvas. So if I'm going to do this product, I'm going to do the FOIL method. So I'm going to start with 7y, and I'm going to multiply it by 4y, and then I'm going to multiply it by -5. So let's do that first. 7y times 4y. Well, 7 times 4 is 28, and y times y is y squared. And then I'm going to take 7y and multiply it by -5, which will give me -35y. And so I'm done with that step. Then the next step is to take the 3 and distribute that in the second set of parentheses. So 3 times 4y is 12y, and 3 times -5 is -15. So I'm done foiling. Now I need to put my like terms together. I only have one y squared term, but I do have two y terms, -35y plus 12y. So -35 plus 12 would be -23y. And then -15. And if I was going to write this into WebWork, I would type 28 and then y, then the up arrow button, which is the shift and the 6 button, then -23y and -15. That's how I'd write that in there. And again, let's just check that with our lab instructions. Okay, so that looks like what we had. Yeah, okay, so that matches the first example. So I'm going to come here and get rid of that. I can delete that now as well. And let's look at example 2. Give ourselves some room. All right, now they want us to find the product of these two. All right, now this is again going to be an expansion of the FOIL method. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first term, 4t, and I'm going to distribute that to each thing in here. So 4t times 3t squared, well, 4 times 3 is 12, and t times t squared is t cubed. Then 4t times -2t, well, 4 times -2 is -8, and t times t is t squared. And then 4t times 7, 4 times 7 is 28, so that'll be plus 28t. So I'm done with that step. The next step is to go to the next term here, -5, and distribute that, multiply that by everything in here. So -5 times 3t squared is -15t squared. -5 times -2t is going to be positive 10t. And -5 times 7 is -35. Now I'm done with the foiling. All I have to do now is to gather any like terms. So I'm going to start with the highest power of t, t cubed, the third power, and I don't have any other t cubed terms. Now I'm going to look for my t squared terms. There's one, there's one. And -8t squared minus 15t squared, well, -8 minus 15 is -23, so that will be -23t squared. Then I look for my t terms. 28t plus 10t will be 38t. And then my constant, I just have one constant term, minus 35. That is my answer. In web work, I'd be writing 12t and then the shift and the 6 button to give me the up arrow button, minus 23t, up arrow 2, plus 38t, minus 35. And my dog is whining. Hang on a sec. Okay, sorry about that. I have an elderly dog and he gets very jealous if he thinks I'm talking to somebody else. And so just talking on this video, I'm not giving him my full attention. He gets upset about that. So sorry about that if it's coming through on the recording. Let's just check this with what we have over here. 12t cubed minus 23t squared plus 38 minus 35. Okay, that matches what I wrote there, so that's correct. And then let's do this last one. So if I come over here, get rid of that. All right, find the product of that. Now, what we have to be really careful about here is there are a lot of students, I've even had calculus students do this, who wrongly think, so I'm going to write this in red because this is going to be wrong, that x plus y all squared is x squared plus y squared. It is not. It is not. Okay, so x squared plus y squared is x plus y all squared. Now, what happens when you square something? You multiply it by itself. So something like that is x plus y times x plus y, then you FOIL. And so that is a common mistake, as I said, I've even seen calculus students make, but we can't be making those mistakes. So they want you to find what's inside the parentheses and square it. So when you square it, you're going to take what's inside the parentheses. I'm going to write a z with a little cross through it so it doesn't get confused with a 2. And if I'm going to square that, that means I'm going to multiply it by itself. Okay, now I just FOIL. I take this and distribute that. So 5z times 5z is 25z squared. And 5z times -12q cubed. Well, 5 and 12 is 60. So 5 times -12 is -60. And z times q cubed, well, they're different letters, so I can't put them together. Now, the convention is you write them in alphabetical order. So I'm going to put the q cubed first. Okay. Now I'm going to do the second part of this foiling. I'm going to take -12q cubed and multiply that. Distribute that into everything there. So -12 times 5 is -60. And then I have q cubed times z, so they're different letters. I cannot combine those. Then I have negative 12q cubed times negative 12q cubed. Negative 12 times negative 12 is positive 144. Now, q cubed times q cubed is going to be q to the power of 3 plus 3, which is 6. And now I just have to gather like terms. So I have 25z squared. That's the only z squared term we've got. And notice that these are exactly the same. So if I'm going to combine them, you have to have the same letters and they have to have the same powers. So both of them are q cubed times z. Negative 60 minus 60 is negative 120. So I can combine these and they will be negative 120 q cubed times z. And then I have plus 144 q to the 6th. And in web work, I would write 25z, then shift the 6, the shift button the 6 to get the up arrow, minus 120, q, the shift button and the 6 to get the up arrow 3, and then z, and 144q, the shift button, the 6 button, and then 6. And that should check with our calculations in the lab instructions, and we see that everything matches. Okay, and again, I've color coded that to help you with the foiling. And so that concludes this video over lab 4.